Hi, I'm Karuna. I'm the founder and executive director for Mind Oasis, and I'm here today with Sarah Tomlinson to talk meditation, happy hour, tea talk, and truth with Karuna. Sarah, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you. I've not seen you for a little while.
I feel the same. And where in the world are you, Sarah?
I'm in San Diego, enjoying the sun. Everyone's enjoying the sun today, I think.
Absolutely. And before we dive into, hopefully, tea talk and truth, we'll hit all of them. Tell me about your day so far. What has it looked like?
Yeah, so far, there was some mantras and meditation at around 5. There were. And then there was some teaching. I taught a private yoga class, and then I taught a group yoga class.
Yeah.
And now I'm into homeschool mode. Switch gears. Kids are working on a project.
Oh, cool. What's the project? And tell us a little bit about your little family.
Project, I don't know exactly. They have an assignment. This is the last week of school, so they have an assignment. And the family, I have 2 boys, 8 and 10, and they play very well together. So I'm super grateful for that, seeing as we've been home for the last few months together. They keep each other entertained, and all night long I can hear them talking to each other, and I'm like, what are they talking about? But they're laughing and having fun, and so that's kind of a relief more than anything.
That's so sweet. And then do you live near the beach that you get to go play in the beach a lot?
Yeah, pretty near. It's a drive, but it's a pretty close drive, and how lucky.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Sarah, I mean, apart from the fact that you're an amazing human being and you're my friend and you're a teacher a few times a year on Mind Oasis, why don't you tell us a little bit about your life work? Because it's interesting and unique.
Yes, yantras. Well, my life work is really to bring the art of yantras to people. And what is a yantra? A yantra is a sacred geometric symbol, usually colored, the ones I learned. They can be actually inscribed on copper plates, and then they're not colored, but the ones I learned are paintings. So the easiest way to show you is, this is my card deck, and it has yantras on it. And as we're going to be doing a sun event soon, I thought I'd show you the sun yantra. So just about see it.
Yeah.
And so there's yantras for planets, and there's yantras for goddesses. And there's a lot of teaching around sacred geometry and the meaning of the symbolism and the healing power of the yantras. So they're almost used medicinally to balance the emotions, the mind, and to propel you on your spiritual path.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how that works. I have here a yantra that I colored with you many months ago. And I remember I was at Barton Springs in Austin, Texas. So I was outside and I was listening to your voice in one of your workshops talk about the different colors and the different meanings. And on here I have get out of your head. That was what came to me through this coloring project. So tell us a little bit more about yantras and the healing powers. And, you know, it's more than coloring, I guess.
Yeah, each one is very specific. So it's designed to have a specific effect on your energy body. And as you know, your energy body is like basically currents and channels of energy. And if there's a blockage in any of them, or the energy is not flowing, then also the energy might not be flowing in that area of your life that corresponds, right? So this inner microcosm, and then your life is the macrocosm. So it's just a little bit of a way of centering and clearing the energy in your life by working on a specific quality that might be a planetary energy or might be a deity energy, but really they're just qualities that we're working on. So by you doing that yantra, you doing an outward symbol or an outward gesture that aligned with this quality of going beyond thinking, getting out of your head and finding your own unique way of being quiet and centered. And so there is a science to it. And I was taught the science of these 24 yantras that I work with. And I've seen it. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with all my students. why people are drawn to certain yantras, and then the effect that that yantra has on them is profound and really is like a medicine chest of visual symbols, as healing symbols.
Yeah. As you were talking about yantras, I was thinking as an English major, how it almost feels like the yantra in one way could be a metaphor. So like, you know, how you have stories, maybe it's a fable or a tale, and from that fable or tale, you can see a reflection back to you about something, some lesson learned or something that's beckoning to you. And I kind of feel like that's what yantras do on a
I think that's right, because they are like, they're archetypal and they're symbols, so they access a part of the mind that something like myth or allegory would speak to. You know, it's not like a direct, hard-hitting, confrontational method of healing. It's more like a journey that happens somewhere in your psyche where things shift, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like an invitation, to explore. I've always been a little surprised at what comes up. Very cool. So you're going to be hosting a summer solstice satsang with Mind Oasis this month. So why don't you talk a little bit about what a satsang is, what the heck the summer solstice is, and then how it all connects with your yantras.
Yeah, so just keep in mind, the sun is going to be the theme, which I'll talk about at length during the class. And the idea of satsang is to come together to discuss what is true. And what is true is that which is really lasting. So we notice the comings and goings of our mind, right? The things that annoyed us yesterday aren't necessarily the things that are going to annoy us tomorrow. Things that bring us joy yesterday may not bring us joy tomorrow, but that continuity is actually the truth. The truth is that there will be this period of time, and there will be me watching that period of time, okay? So the idea of satsang is, can I come together with other people who are interested in staying in the space of awareness and observation and teachings that will get us out of thinking that the comings and goings of our mind are actually real. So it's kind of profound, actually. You know, it's not just let's get together to get out of our mind in a way that dulls our mind. It's a way, it's can I get together to get out of the small minutiae in my mind so that I can actually focus on my strengths and my gifts and why I'm here. And it's profound. And to do that with other people amplifies the process. So I can do these yantras on my own, but if we're all doing the sun yantra together, so in the class, we'll get an outline. I'll give everybody an outline. And then using a sunny palette. So that can be oranges. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but
I did notice and that we didn't plan this. And I think you're wearing your hot pink and I'm wering my hot pink. Or,
I know, it's interesting.
Like yeah.
We just needed a little bit of energy today.
Yeah.
I know, we didn't plan that at all, actually. I was just feeling drawn to that color. So that's it. It's kind of like color therapy, group therapy, and it really brings you to a peaceful place because you do go beyond this mindless chatter that we all. So some people also don't like to meditate and just do nothing, right? That emptiness can work for some people, but other people, different temperaments, they like to have active meditations. So this is really suited to active meditators. And they'll find some tranquility in the process or the activity of making the yantra, learning about the mantra. There's a sound that goes with every yantra. So that being absorbed in the process, very centering, creates a lot of peacefulness. Also, it's a creative process, right? Coloring. So that does kind of spin the cogs in a good way for your creativity. Usually people come out of these sessions feeling somewhat inspired about all kinds of projects, not just yantras, you know. And why the solstice? Well, the solstice is when there's a lot of light. So we might as well be out there harnessing that light to awaken our own creativity, mind, brightness, luminosity.
Yeah.
So,
you know, one of the things Yeah, one of the things I've really appreciated in your satsangs is that I've gotten to know people from all around the world. I mean, we have a gal who comes right from Canada, and a gal, I think she's in New Zealand. And then there's always people from other places. But it's really neat to have a gathering. I mean, we do this all the time on Mind Oasis, but there's something a little bit different about your workshops in that we gather together, there's the mantra, and then it's almost like you take us through a story as we then are coloring and feeling into our own yantras. And I'm always surprised at how different people's yantras are. Like, we've had some where I feel like they were like masterpieces that could be put up on a museum wall. And then there's people like me who, you know, have these very simple colored pencils, but it's really, it's sort of, it feels like a quilt maybe.
Yeah, it has some of that. It does. It has some of the quilt to it. It has some even of the, like, knitting together things. But I think it's nice. It speaks to a time when people did things together. They created things together. And I was thinking about this morning in my yoga class. But just this idea of unity, you know, unity and diversity. It's almost like everybody is just wanting to have their own little bit of their quilt, but it's like, how nice to come together and keep focusing on the unity. And actually the sun as a principle is the unifier, because the sun shines on everything and the sun is not partial. So I think for these times, working with the sun energy brings about global awareness. It raises up things that are not getting enough attention, you know, and it's to do with fairness and equality. And it's kind of interesting how the sun, how, you know, we're invoking the sun.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, Sarah, about how you're using yantras these days with all that's been happening with Black Lives Matter in the United States and with George Floyd being murdered. I mean, times feel dark. So there is some interest to me. I had a teacher yesterday also talking about the sun and how it illuminates. How are you using your practices in these times that are calling for our attention?
I feel like for me to be any use, this is the, you know, this is my take on it. For me to be any use in raising awareness and bringing the unity to the diversity, I have to just get kind of quiet. So it's interesting. I feel called to action in certain ways, but if I don't get quiet, what happens is I just listen to that level of noise that is not the truth, really. It's just everybody's yesterday's noise, today's noise, their opinion, blah, 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 blah. And unless I can get down a little bit to sort of settle a little bit, like hear it, but settle, then I can see my way through the noise and see how can I really make a difference? How can I do something impactful? And for me, it's actually been highlighting friends of mine, you know, who might not have the same skin tone as mine. And just like, okay, this is a time when I get to celebrate my friends. Because I feel like for me, if it's not personal or I don't have a connection to them and their greatness, it's sort of harder for me to connect with it. But I think everybody has to connect with these issues in their own way. Some people do it with a bigger paintbrush, right? Some people do it with a smaller one. But the only way I can really do it in a way that feels truthful and powerful is to get a little bit quieter. So I've been doing my yantras in the morning just as a way to, okay, there's more noise to cut through. I'm going to really get in touch with what makes me feel powerful. And then do different events or connect with different people, raise awareness around those people. So that's what I've been doing. Somehow going in more to go out more.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You know, I think there's a lot of folks who are calling for everyone to get loud and that somehow silence is apathy. And I've had a hard time finding the right words to explain that for me, there is no apathy. I can tell you
I know, there's no apathy. Right, right.
And I have to be useful in a way that is resonant with my practices. And one such way is to individually reach out to people I I know could use my skill set. So one of my skill sets
Right.
was that I have a master's in nonprofit management. So I reached out to my friend who is the executive director for a nonprofit that helps people of color. And I said, how can I help? And she said, you know, look at this foundation and let's write a proposal for a $5 million grant to give to other organizations that work with folks of color. That to me felt more useful than getting on a loudspeaker.
I know. Yeah. And some people getting on a loudspeaker is their way. They're very direct. They're very in the moment. And that's their expression. But I agree with you. And I was feeling that in general, life is like this. The more we point our fingers at anybody is the more, you know, this thing, right? This three pointing back at you. What are you really doing? What's in keeping with yourself? You know, the people who are saying, because it's true, there is a wave now, people saying, why aren't you talking up about these issues? But I feel like, you know, how could they introspect more and do what's really in alignment with them? And it's kind of beautiful to see how everybody in their own way is contributing to this, you know, with their skill set. I agree. It's got to be with your skill set. It's got to feel good, which I know sounds like a luxury, but actually, if I'm not feeling good, I can't be really strong and powerful, you know, with my energy. And yeah, that's back to everybody has their own temperament, just like with meditation. Everybody's going to have their own way of doing something, their own way of processing things. And I do think when people start to point their fingers at other people, it's generally, what are they not doing?
Right.
Yeah. And why do you expect everybody to be the same? Which is why I'll segue into my planets, because I wanted to tell you about the planet course. Yeah. So the beauty of this, I have an 8-week planet course coming up in July and August, which you have done. And by the way, you did it more virtually than not. In the recordings, you're welcome to do it again in person, because what happens in person is so nice to have those live Zoom calls. That's part of the process. So it's an 8-week class, and there's 2 hours of one Zoom call a week. It's going to be on Tuesday mornings for this country, Tuesday evenings for Europe. And it's really great because it shows you all the different ways people can express themselves, and you start to appreciate why we're all different, right? So the Mars person is going to act differently to the Jupiter person, and finding out how they can express their strengths. So if we get upset with people right now, it's because we're imagining everybody is the same planet as we are, but we're all different. And this lens of the planets, which I work with a lot, and actually in the course, you learn about every single planet yantra and how to use the yantras and mantras as remedies. It just gives you a greater appreciation of how all the diversity can work together as a whole.
Yeah. Sarah, tell us a little bit, like, how does one, I know I'm a Venus, but I know that from having a private consultation with you and you saying to me, it's so obvious, and being like, oh, it explains everything in my whole life I've never understood. So let's say someone didn't want to do that. They just wanted to come to your planetary course. How do you start to, do you just know what your planet is? Is it just intuitive?
You know what? This course is, the very introductory course is by learning about all the planets, you start to really feel which one feels the most centering for you. And actually that's how you find out. But for this course, because it's a little more in-depth, it's a prerequisite is to have a consultation with me. Then when you go through the course, it's like you learn more about what the consultation imparted.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your background. How do you know what you know?
Yeah, there's a whole weaving together there of yoga philosophy, Ayurveda, a lot of work with Ayurveda. And actually Ayurveda in India especially, they really use the planetary energies a lot. So the days of the week and how you do different things on the days of the week. And so that started to pique my curiosity about the days of the week and the different energies. And then I would start to see that different people behave differently. And they had different planetary energies. And so that led me to want to help people be themselves more, right? Because everyone's trying to somehow be like somebody else. But the idea of the planets is, can you be yourself more? Because then you're blossoming into the beauty you were meant to be, rather than trying so hard to be the person next door, you know. So when I got more interested in that, because teaching yoga, you see stress in people's bodies, right? And you're like, how can I undo that stress? Just doing the asana is not going to do it. Asana is great, meditation is great, but if they're not making concrete steps to transform other areas of their life, then it's not going to make a difference, right? So it's sort of like therapy mixed with meditation. So I feel like it's a form of counseling. And so then I led on a path of Ayurvedic astrology. And it just really works for me in terms of understanding the paradigms that people bring to me of their wellness and their mental state and their career ideas and their relationship status. And then you see more ease in the body. And then you can use asana therapeutically.
Yeah. It's really interesting hearing you say that. First of all, I need to book an appointment with you. I just realized it's been a couple of years and I could use a refresher on all
follow-ups are really good. They're almost my favorite appointments.
So we'll talk about that later. But the other thing is how I think it's really potent to have yet another tool that gets you out of your thinking mind.
Yeah, it really is. Because all it takes is just stepping back for a moment and then everything changes, right? Once your mindset shifts, then basically everything around you shifts. And the more we can keep doing that and pulling back, the more opportunity we have to create this new future that we're all pretty ready to have, you know?
Yeah, it's on a much more mellow level, but I just have to share with you sort of a personal thing that just came up for me. My husband's a rock climber and I have a lot of friends who rock climb, and every time I go rock climbing, I don't have fun. I do not have fun rock climbing. And I was just telling my friend yesterday, you know, I think it's because it's boring for me. I'm not good at it and I'm afraid. And I've kind of been shaming myself. Like, why am I not tougher? I'm so tough in other ways, right?
Yeah.
But I just realized I'm trying to put myself into a planetary that is
right.
not me.
It's not you. Right. Yeah. It's like, go be the goddess. And guess what? You're going to be, woo. Yeah. Funny.
Isn't that great?
It's true. You can, that's true.
Yeah. So this is exactly what you
That's right. And then you can excel. And it's not that sometimes you're not meeting with challenges, but at least they're challenges that make you feel stronger and energized and like it's fun almost to have that challenge, you know? It's a different energy behind it.
Yes. It resonates with my Venus planet, I can say. And rock climbing does not.
Does not. It's not got those pieces. Well, good. Thank goodness. Phew. Right?
Okay, well.
That's right. They can enjoy their rock climbing. You can make interesting foods for afterwards. You can bring the cocktails, you know. Yeah.
There you go. Good. Okay, so tell us everything. So let's just wrap up a little bit here. Summer Solstice Satsang with Sarah is on the 21st of June, which I think is Sunday. 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's Central Time. And we are going to be coloring the sun yantra, and Sarah will be weaving in all the beautiful tales around the sun, and we'll be sharing our yantras with one another and having coffee, tea, or wine, or otherwise, depending.
Yeah, and sun promotes your fame. So it's actually a very good one for everybody to do who wants more fame, more success. Wherever the sun is, there's usually a success behind it. So we can all use it somewhere.
Yeah, I feel the gold on my skin as we're talking. And then you have, you do one-on-one consultations. You have the Bliss deck. You have 2 yantra books.
So worn out.
Yeah, beautiful. And then you have 2 yantra
coloring book.
Yes. And the planetary. Yes.
So lots of things so that you can learn more about yantras. But meeting in person is really the best. And then these are tools for you then to go home and kind of practice with.
Right. And then you have your 8-week series that is coming up that anyone
July.
Yeah. So anyone who comes to the satsang will get you all that information and the links and things like that. Because I have done it. I had to do it mostly virtually because I was busy. But it was lovely, and it was a wonderful way to learn about the planets and to learn about you, like how you yourself, like how things appear in your own life. Yeah. Anything else you wanna share with us, Miss Sarah?
Well, I think that I'm just so happy that we're doing the sun because of this unity and diversity theme that's going with me today. It's so important to remember what we have in common rather than our differences, you know, and that's it. I'm just happy for this, and maybe just noticing sunrise and sunsets going forward until we meet for the solstice, because that's a powerful practice in itself, just to really notice the sun coming up every day and going down every day. And that rhythm, it installs a rhythm and a trust and a continuity, and it kind of gives you courage, gives you strength.
Yeah, it's sort of like a recharge, I find, for my heart. I feel like my heart is very connected to the sun. My mom was certainly a sun goddess, and so I just feel like when you can connect with the healing recharge, it's a power. I mean, it's a solar pack that we have at our disposal most days, especially in sunny San Diego. Yeah, wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. I think we hit it all. I'm pretty sure we had.
I think we're good.
Well, I had coffee. I don't know if you had tea. We had truth, and we definitely had talk. So there you go.